Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Lorelei Shamayo. We're Metaphysical Empowerment and Wellness Events. We host events throughout the Northwest and online. We're currently in Seattle, Portland, Salem, and Eugene. We interview our readers, healers, and vendors so you get a chance to know who we are. So you know who you're going to be connecting with and what you're going to be experiencing before you're at one of our events. I'm here today interviewing Brian Cohen-Doherty. Brian, it's great to have you here.
It is very good to be here.
So what is it that you do? What do you share at our events?
I actually bring radiant amplified healing and ascended dragon guidance.
What is this? Like, I'd never heard of this before, and probably lots of people haven't also.
Yeah, so radiant amplified healing came through from partly from dragons, partly from the ascended masters I work with also, and just my own learnings and teachings and experiences. And it's fundamentally overflowing yourself with joyful, loving gratitude, and then setting your intention from that space and using it to heal after you've overflowed your receiving. Because that's something that a lot of people forget, and it's a really good thing to practice anyway. So it turns you just into a big old ball of light. It's great. And then the dragons, of course, they bring in all sorts of amazing things. I know there's a lot of people rising in the dragon world right now. There's a lot of that coming through, especially the Ascendant Dragon group. So I bring that out there as well. And they do have teachings and guidance that come in, but that's, if you're drawn to it, you're drawn to it, So
that's why I was wondering if you could say a little bit more about dragons, because I think a lot of people haven't heard of dragons and connecting with dragons. And I mean, we know of dragons in a story realm, but not in
right.
the metaphysical realm.
There's the earthly dragons that existed in the spirit and in the existence on our world, like our earth world. But then there are others that come from either a universe similar to ours or this one. I hear different sides, so I'm not going to pick. They don't really care at this point either. So, but they're sort of in that super dimensional state. I guess you'd call it like 6th, 7th D. They're 8th level, like they're way up there in the frequency range. So they exist in between and around and above kind of all that stuff. And they're really personal. There's not a standard set of ascended dragons. It'd be like saying, is there a standard set of human, right? Like you and I are vastly different. We work in beautiful different ways and, interact with totally different tools. They're the exact same way. So like, they're just beautifully unique and powerful, and they're a lot of fun. Like,
can you say a little bit, like, what was your first experience of connecting with them? Like, how did that open for you?
That actually came through with a friend that I was she was in a different program at a trade school in the medical industry, and she ended up doing a big introduction with me for a whole bunch of different attunements and frequencies. So like golden lotus, planetary alignments. And she actually got called to pass through the dragon for like the first time, and it wrapped around my heart and it sat on there. I felt it like crawl out of her as I was laying on this massage table, and it just wrapped around my heart. And it took a while for it to come through. And then all of a sudden, a while later, like there was experiences, but then there was a moment where I was riding a train, light rail, through the tunnels in Portland. And my dragon came in and was like right in my face, and I'm sitting there having like a massive energy flows and like trying to hold my twitches together because I was so overwhelmed with the experience of it all. And there's this huge communication, and I'm feeling the strata of the rock. And yeah, it was a really intense introduction, but it was great. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what is a session typically like for someone at an event? And I guess, and what are they drawn to? Are they drawn to a particular question? Maybe they're more drawn to the modality and they want to experience it. What?
Well, if you're drawn to if you're connected to the dragon. I don't do attunements with them. Like, it's not like I just open people up. For me, it's if it's right for you to connect to them, or if it's right for me to help be sort of a channel or vessel for that to happen with, then it happens. Which is why I don't push like, here's my ascended dragon teachings or the teachings of the ascended dragons, because it's my path with them is different, and that's how we roll together. So it's not like there's a set session with them. That's not how it works. Like, there's an introduction, and then once the space happens, then it's see what they want to talk about, because that's how it is.
So is it Gotcha. I'm trying to.
It's really energetic. Like it's not necessarily visual, but it really hits on that deeper perceptual level they come in. Um, with almost everybody that it's happened with.
And I
It's really
imagine,
powerful.
and I just imagine for someone experiencing it that the environment they're in and all the fear that's around them kind of is dropped away, and they're just.
Oh yeah. Yeah. When they come in, there's nothing else. Like you can see stuff around you, but it's basically as important as posters. Uh, yeah, you're not even really worried about you're not worried about anything that comes in. You're totally in the moment of that relationship and that experience state. I've had a few of them where they've come in just really strong like that, because sometimes they just are like, no, it's time for this now. And so sometimes that happens, the ones I work with anyway. And then other people have had some similar experiences that I've heard over the years where sometimes they choose to make their presence really, really known. And then other times, most of the time, it's a lot more gentle and communicative. But like I said, they're very individual beings. They're not one sort of homogenous thing out there or some group mind. It's individuals with intention and focus and individuality. So
And I do most people, they walk away with the experience and the impact, and I'm imagining that they walk away with a continued connection. A lot of people, or what?
yeah, no, it's not like when the dragons come through, it's like that's when a connection is made. I don't like I'll use some of their energetics that they've let me access, like their dragon fires or different glyphs and symbols, because that's how I interact with some of their stuff on elemental levels too. But they like it's not like I tell them what to do or anything. Like I use some of this stuff, but when it's your connection to a dragon itself, like when that happens, that's that just is now a thing that you have. Like you're not going to lose that. It's not going to go away. It's if it does, you won't have to question it. Like you'll really know. Like if for whatever reason, if you and your dragon part, it won't be a question as to if it happened. Like,
So most
and
people
I've
have.
never heard of it happening. Like it probably has, but it's not something I've even really considered. So.
I heard you mention like your dragons. Most people connect with a dragon.
Well, there's one that I mainly am connected to, but then there's others I've interacted with on a little consistent basis. There's like my main guy is Bellfire, and then there's a mage sage sort of kind of wizard version of in their world, more than they are normally. He's interacted with me at the hospitals and a few other places. Like there's a city of light that you can fly through. It's my experience with it has been pretty impressive. There's other people have now described the same thing now that I've talked to some more folks that work with this particular group, because I hadn't really met that many up till recently. But they describe a lot of the same experiences, like cities of light. There's like I've worked at their hospital, working like bringing my friend energetically into it, doing elemental healings with like 9 dragons around. So it's not always like that, but sometimes when they all come in together, it's big.
Oh, it's great. It's great.
Yeah.
Oh, well, if people want to connect with you, they want to learn more online, where do they go?
Right. You find me at Radiant Amplified Healing on Facebook. Raw RAH for reality. If you put the @ symbol and then raw for reality, because it is the Radiant Amplified Healing aspect. That's the stuff I can actually like teach. Like the dragons, I'm a guide and vessel with. But Radiant Amplified Healing is the teachings and skills. So that includes a lot of the dragon stuff with it, like the functional aspects, embracing different techniques and concepts and sort of reframing our ascension a little bit, so that we can expand what our possibility range is. Because a lot of us have gotten kind of fixated in our language and our descriptions, and things are rolling along a little faster than our language is keeping up. So we need to help broaden our vision of possibility and our vision of ascension and our vision of what is bigger and what is better and how much more can we actually create in the world. So raw for reality on Facebook or Radiant Amplified Healing. or Brian Cohen-Doherty on Facebook. You can find me there too. So
Great, great. Thank you so much. It was lovely connecting.
thank you.
And for those of you listening and watching, you can find out more about us on the web at MetaphysicalEmpowermentEvents.com. Thanks so much.